be starting in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much for your patience.
I don't know exactly how to follow something like that, so I'm going to take the easy way out and just introduce the presentation. First, I'd like to thank our colleagues from the Department of Premier and Cabinet for joining us, Economic and International Coordination Division especially. We appreciate you being here and taking time out of what we know is a very busy schedule to receive a presentation that I think will benefit all concerned. I think that the team here has done an excellent job with the guidance and leadership of the subject matter expert. Scott has been extremely generous with his time for the students, relieving the burden off me, although you don't get part of my pay, Scott. And it's been an extremely good project. The topic, as you can see, is International Policy Framework for the South Australian Government. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce a group of students who I'm very proud of. I have worked with, had the privilege of working with over the last year, led by Imran and Zawwar, who will introduce his team and the presentation. Imran?
Thank you very much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was exactly the time when the world was looking forward to get rid of intercontinental ballistic missiles. There have been a couple of meetings between the world leaders, which resulted in a failure. And this meeting, which I'll be just narrating to you, is a sequence to that. And this was the last meeting supposed to be between the two world leaders, Gorbachev from Russia and President Reagan from the United States. They both were meeting in Geneva. And the meeting went out for a couple of days and really not producing much productive results. And this was the final day of the meeting, and the convoy from the United States, they were thinking that it will bear the same fruit as a couple of previous meetings had. But President Reagan had something different in his mind. And President Reagan is known for his good communication skills. This day, he himself started the meeting. He came up to the stage and he said that today I'm going to narrate an interesting incident about Gorbachev. He said that Gorbachev lives a couple of kilometers away from Moscow, that is his hometown, and every weekend he goes to his hometown. This is his pet habit. And the very first working day, he returns back to his work. So this particular day, Gorbachev felt as if he'll be late to his office. And Gorbachev had a very good record that he was never late to his work. So Gorbachev started pressing his driver to accelerate the car. But the driver was a very good Russian and he would not do so. Gorbachev figured this out very quickly. He asked the driver to stop the car, asked him to sit back, and himself took control of the handle. As soon as he took control of it, the car started passing 80, 100, 120. And while the car entered Moscow, it was around about 120 and 130 kilometers. The police siren bells rang out, and the car was chased by a police convoy. Now, there was a motorcycle sergeant who came near the car, peeped into the window, and got out. He again came near the car, peeped into the window, and again got out. This was annoying the police chief sitting in the rear vehicle, and he shouted on the Motorola, "What the hell is this? Is there some VIP traveling in the car?" The sergeant immediately replied back, "Sir, I think it's some VVIP because Gorbachev is the driver." So there was a hearty laughter after this in the hall. Gorbachev stood up. He shook hands with President Reagan. They both went into the room. The meeting, which started with a very good mood, concluded very finely, and the world got rid of intercontinental ballistic missiles. So, ladies and gentlemen, today exactly we have the same forum here. We have tried to come up with a policy framework which will increase the international relations for South Australian government throughout the world. I'll not take much of your time, and I'll request Michael Martin to start off with the presentation and to introduce the group to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Imran. With some practical examples.
Thank you very much, Michael. So, ladies and gentlemen, Michael has set up the pitch and set up the real base where we have built up our study and our research. The part that I am going to do is this part in the logic model. So that really relates with input sorts of activities that you carry out, the output outputs, and their outcomes, which are really very important. We also assume, make certain assumptions, and the external factors that can affect our program. So, as part of presentation, we could really not have put in all the examples. However, we have chosen those which we thought are major and which will make the major impact on the department if they exercise these examples. These examples have been drawn through our rigorous research, which backs them. So we have come up with a strategy which we named as strategy education. The brief rationale that we put forward is to identify a state at a given level of economic and social development which has educational needs and which South Australia has a competency. To let you know, income from international students totaled 294 billion in South Australia, representing 2.8% of the state's total exports in 2002. Whereas now in 2009 it was 990 million, which was 9.6% of total exports. This clearly relates the dominance South Australia has in international education sector. And with the formation of Carnegie Mellon University and University College London, it is attracting international universities as well. If we just focus on this approach and coordinate our efforts throughout the department, throughout the government subsidiary departments, we'll be able to come up with one strategy that will affect our international relations immensely. So what we assume as our inputs is to attract the international universities, which we are already doing, to increase the provision of scholarships, to attract high-level international faculty and increase the number of research centers. There is a room of improvement over here. So the outputs we gain can be measured and quantified by number of students enrolled per year, money spent by the student as export income, and enhanced multiculturalism, also number of international faculty serving in educational sector. So this variable is in fact not much quantifiable, but we can really evaluate it through cost and benefit analysis and through certain sort of data that we'll be collecting over years if our efforts are coordinated around the Department of Government. What will be the immediate short-term outcomes? The immediate outcomes will be that export income will go up. I'm time and again mentioning export income. Export income is the income that forms the real basis, the backbone of an economy to let it grow. It is the income that you gain from international resources, not the income generated within the community. So it is the real hinge where improvement can be made, and it creates a multiplying effect. Then we have the increased human capital, which is very much the need of South Australia at the moment to grow internationally and to have good aims with, to have good relations internationally. The cultural experience will enhance because there will be more multicultural people coming to South Australia. And there will be economic boom. And we predict that this economic boom will immediately occur within the short term. There's also a significant increase in human capital, which is a medium-term outcome, the increased activity, research, innovation, and number of international university campuses going up. I know that already one more international university campus is in coordination with the South Australian government to form its campus within South Australia. And it's much hoped that there will be more universities attracted towards South Australia. And instead of Adelaide being the university city, we can perhaps name South Australia as the university state. The long-term outputs are very important, which will ensure long-term sustainability, enhance relations, job creation, and internationally competitive state. The next strategy that we propose after much consideration was tourism. Tourism aims to increase visitor expenditure from 3.7 billion in 2002 to 6.3 billion in 2014. This will contribute 750 million as export income. Now, the amount of figures was a real concern with us, because of which we place it as a major strategy for South Australia. Because tourism is a real industry which can help build up the export income for the state. Right now, there is a dearth of good tourism companies within South Australia because the market is being dominated by the government itself. There is no international competition within the competition within the market should be increased. The government intervention should be reduced in the tourism market. You should enrich the tourism policy. Reduce barriers to entry so that more industries come in and they are attracted towards the tourism industry. The outputs that we can generate is on which we can quantify our results are the number of tourists per year, amount of money spent by tourists, length of stay, and number of tourists revisiting. There's nothing more to note over here that these are just strategies which we can add up more on. We can increase the number of variables because this is just an example that we wanted to show to the audience that how we can build up on this framework. So these variables can be changed and they can be decreased and they can be increased as well simultaneously. The immediate outcomes will be again the export income going up. The expansion in local employment, enhanced cultural experience and improved tourist destinations. This is the most important factor that we have to come up with more improved destinations. Now I'll hand over to Salesh who will walk you through to the evaluation part.